Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Atlanta Thrashers franchise mode here in NHL 21. So in last episode, we had the draft and the re-sign stage, and our team is coming together pretty good for the upcoming year. Like, I honestly don't think this team even really needs much additions this offseason, because if you look at our forward depth, we have some very good forwards for the most part. Some are a little bit average, but some are above average as well, so we got really good forward depth. Also, some players in the system that are all jumping up in overalls as well, which is pretty nice to see. And then if we go to our defensive core is getting even better because we just drafted this Ferguson dude who looks pretty good. He might play in the AHL for the first season. He might crack the top 6. It's hard to tell really because of how much young defensemen we have on our team. Like, everybody's 25 and younger, which is pretty crazy. And in our goaltending, obviously, with Carey Price and Brian Elliott is pretty solid too. So I think this team has definitely a good shot at making it pretty far this upcoming season. Before we get into signing a coach, because we do need a head coach, I do have one comment to go over, and that's from HawksFan88. He says, I would prefer Sandlak as a new coach just because he's more balanced than the other coaches, and his fit should be still decent. So we are going to sign Sandlak as our head coach. He only wants apparently 784K, which is pretty cheap, so he's not really like, I feel like he's more probably an associate coach, or maybe actually, no, he's a head coach, but he just doesn't want a lot of money. The only problem I find with Sandlak is that he's 63 already, so he could potentially retire in a few seasons, but he could be a good temporary option as our head coach. So we'll give him 3 years and give him a little bit more than that. See if we could get him. We should be able to get him easily, I would assume. And then I think I'm also going to actually assign an assistant coach just because we don't actually have one of those. And I was looking at Nicholas because he's got actually good power play and good penalty kill. If you guys remember, our power play and our penalty kill really struggled last season, so it'd be good to bring in an assistant coach with good attributes in that area. So we're going to bring in Nicholas and see if he could help out our special teams a little bit as the assistant coach. And then that will give us 3 coaches in the NHL, and it doesn't really matter that much about the AHL. So that's what we are going to do, and we're not going to be signing any free agent players just because, like, it's kind of useless, to be honest. Like, with the way this team is set up right now, like, let's take a look at how much players we have for each. Like, we got 3, 6, 9, 12. And then in the system, we have all 4 of these guys that can make the jump potentially. So 16 players that could play in the NHL. And then defensively, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players that could play in the NHL. And Gugnaut even could technically play in the NHL, but we'll probably play him in the AHL for 1 season. So yeah, we got a lot of depth, and we also have a lot of RFAs that are still holding out. So these guys are all going to get qualified, and well, they are already qualified, and they will sign their contracts soon. They all want one-way deals, which is really weird. So hopefully they come to like terms and they sign up with like a 2-way contract. But anyways, let's start simulating and see where some players sign in free agency. We'll simulate 1 month and then take a look at what signings happen around the league, and then we will sim the rest of the offseason, get to the start of next season, and probably simulate a couple months. So Sandlak is rejecting because he doesn't like the quality of a roster, so I gotta re-get him again. But Nicholas does accept, which is nice to see. But I don't know why that coach is rejecting. That's kind of weird. We're going to have to give him a little bit more money, I guess, but that's okay because we do got still a decent amount of budget. Yeah, we got like still $2 million. So we'll give him more money. We'll give him like 900K around. He should accept that. If he doesn't accept these, then we should maybe look for a different coach, but this guy's pretty balanced, like Coxman was saying, because he's decent on like special teams, decent on offense and defense, and also on influence, so he's a pretty balanced coach for his price point. Let's continue to simulate till the end of the month. I'm kind of curious on where some free agents will sign. Let's actually go to the 31st and see if we could get that coach. Hopefully also all those RFAs accept soon. So Sandlak has accepted, so that's great. We're still waiting on our RFAs. Hopefully they start to accept soon, or else I'm going to have to start offering them contracts myself. And there's 1, there's 2. That's good. There's another. And okay, somebody's actually trying to offer McLennan a one-way deal. There's no compensation is the only thing, but that's a one-way deal that they're offering him at 1.085. Like, I'm gonna just match it, I think, because it doesn't really matter that much because we don't have like a max salary cap. So I think I'll just match this offer. But it's kind of funny that the team actually wanted to try and get Marvin McLennan because this guy's like a 74 overall defenseman. So I'm just gonna match the offer for now. So there's Marvin McLennan done. There's Brizgalov. There's Wong, Prust. I wonder why people went over McLennan. Maybe because defensive depth isn't that great around the league. I think we almost got everybody back on the RFA notice, which is good. Let me just take a look at that first before we take a look at who signed where. Because I want to make sure we're getting everybody back. Is that AHL team is going to be pretty stacked for this season, I think. So if we go to unsigned, or not unsigned, RFAs, we're still waiting on Lapierre. There we go, we could get Lapierre now. So yeah, we got Lapierre back now probably for sure, which is good. Yeah, we just did, I think, automatically, right? No, not yet, but still. Let's take a look at the free agent signings for the first month, and then I will do probably a jump cut, and we will get started with the season simulation and all that. So let's take a look at who signed where, and if there was any trades. So there was a couple trades, so like Volchenkov going to Detroit from Colorado, some random prospect going to Anaheim for Philip Kuba and Richard Park, Colin White going to Philadelphia, and that's pretty much that for trade-wise. Signing-wise, anything of note? I will scroll through this, and I won't read much out unless I see a huge one, just because my voice might die on me, because I have to record like a couple videos after this. Matthias Olin to Montreal, that's kind of interesting. Any other big names? Eric Lindros signs in New York, which is kind of cool because his brother actually played for the Islanders when he played in the NHL, I'm pretty sure. So, like Brett Lindros. What else do we got here? Anything else that's cool? Like a player going to a former team or something. What else? Doesn't seem to be much interesting yet. Saprigan to Carolina. Not that Saprigan's a big name, but still. Greg Adams to Calgary. That's not a big name, but still read that out. Alex Degg to Europe. Interesting. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be like a lot of big names free agent signings, but they'll probably earlier in this, like Joseph Stumple goes to Colorado. That's a pretty good signing for Colorado. Jason Blake goes to Carolina. Okay, we're getting into some bigger names now. Nylander to Minnesota. Arnott to the Islanders as well. Todd White to Anaheim. Yuri Lettinen to Anaheim. And we're getting to the point where there's a lot of younger free agents. So, Nabokov goes to Minnesota. That's interesting. Brad Isbister, Detroit. Okay, Greer to Colorado as well. Andrew Brunette signs in Montreal. Radik Dvorak signs in Carolina where he actually played, so that's cool. Ed Jovanovski signs in Europe. Anything else interesting to bring up? Like we're reading on like who was it? There was Sikora, I think, is a free agent this year. Vladimir Orsog in LA. Paul Correa signs a 2-year deal in Montreal. Wow. Of course Anaheim has to lose him. But that's a big signing though for Montreal. Even if it's for like a couple years only. Robert Esch to Vancouver. Barnaby goes back to Buffalo. That's cool. And Ray Whitney signs in Carolina. That's actually kind of cool too, because I don't think he started in Carolina in this franchise mode. So, and Doug Wade signs in Anaheim, another team that he actually played for briefly. I really like it when former players sign with teams they actually played for, like Tverdovsky signing in Carolina. It's kind of neat. I don't know if you guys feel the same way about it or what. Yashin signing in San Jose, Anson Carter in Carolina as well as realistic, and that's pretty much it. So Sikora might be still a free agent, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, that's the first month of free agency, so I'm going to make a jump cut to our edited lines for the upcoming season, and then we will probably simulate a few months. So see you guys in a second. Okay, guys, so our team is pretty stacked in terms of the AHL at least, but like here's what our NHL roster looks like. We got Malkin, Bergeron, Kovalchuk still, Bork, Houghton, and Henricius. Third line has Jalen Kemp on it, but we could always swap him and Likachev around, but Kemp is actually a pretty good offensive player, so I'd rather have him on the third line. And then we also have Kuznetsov and Bobrovsky. We could always change Bobrovsky and Likachev around. Actually, we'll probably do that just because Likachev's the better overall player. And then fourth line, Bobrovsky, Frolov, and Wolski's going to be jumping to the NHL. Now, I could have decided and brought up Ivanov instead, but Ivanov doesn't have really that great of like attributes yet. Like, he does have some really good offensive attributes, but I will probably bring him up next season. But we do need to start thinking about letting some guys go on our NHL roster, because we do have a lot of guys in the system that are going to be in the NHL soon. I'll show you guys their lines in a bit, but our defensive core, we got Kondratyev and Wall, Brody and Martinez, and then Conley and Ferguson. So Ferguson's actually going to play in the NHL, but we could always send him down if he's not performing that well, because he's not really a great fit on this pairing. Like, his best fit is on the top pairing. So I could always flop that around a bit. I don't know if I could actually make this better or not. I don't think I can. So I can't really get rid of this minus, unfortunately, but we do also have Belugas, who is going to be scratched, which kind of sucks, but he's going to be scratched for now. There's also Isaiah Edmonds, and then there is Scavello. And then in terms of goaltending, we got Carey Price and Brian Elliott still, so that's pretty good. And then if we go to our AHL team, you can see what I mean by this team being really stacked. Like, it literally has 70s across every line almost. Yeah, pretty much every line. So this team is definitely going to be a very good team down there. There's not that great of chemistry on the defensive core, but it's still pretty good on the offense. And then the goaltending, obviously, they still have Jackson Robbins, who we've been kind of keeping down there for a while. I might have to trade him at some point because he might not want to play in the AHL. And we also have all these good guys as depth as well. So the AHL team should probably kill it this season. And then the NHL team looks pretty good as they do for the last few years. So, and the chemistry actually looks pretty good on the forward core, I would say. So we look pretty good for the upcoming season, and hopefully we could do some good damage this season. Like, hopefully we can make it to the cup final. It's our owner goals. I didn't check our owner goals yet. They want us to improve our top 4 defensemen, but I'm not going to improve our top 4 defensemen because I like our younger defensemen. But we should be technically a champion team at this stage, so let's get simulating. We'll get the preseason done, and then we'll do probably up to January the 1st just to see how this team simulates. But hopefully we have a pretty good season. We should have a good season, I would say. Our AHL team is definitely going to have a good season, but our NHL team, I don't know. I think it's pretty similar to probably what we had last year. There's probably a lot of other teams in the league, though, that have like way worse teams than us, so. And in the preseason, we're going to go 5-1-1, which is pretty nice. Who led us in points that preseason was Malkin with 13 points in 7 games. Let me actually take a look at whose contracts are up this offseason. But we might have to let go of a lot of our AHL players because some of them are getting too good. But for contracts this next season, we have Houghton, Kuznetsov, Conley as big contracts. Frolov could be a guy that gets replaced by a younger guy easily. Ivanov probably will be in the NHL next season. Edmonds' contract is up as well. A lot of AHL players, pretty much. And in goalie-wise, it's just the backup goalies or the goalies in the AHL. Interesting. Let's continue to simulate and get this season started. I'm pretty excited to see how this team performs, because we did not make a single signing in free agency, but we do have a new head coach, so should be interesting to see how we do under a new coach. Okay, let's get this first month done. We'll go all the way to November the 1st. We started off with a nice 5-2 win over Dallas, but then lose to Florida and Tampa. It's not good. But then we bounce back with a win over Philadelphia. We lose to Columbus. We beat Phoenix, so we're kind of a little bit streaky to start the season, but it kind of happens time to time. Kind of just have to find your legs a little bit. And yeah, that was kind of a first month. 5-5-1. It's not terrible, but not great either. Not that it matters in the standings, but we are out of the wildcard spot by only 1 point. And Kovalchuk's killing it, 15 points in 11 games. So our forward core is doing really good, it looks like. At least maybe our top line. So that's a good thing. Maybe our only problem is keeping the puck out of the net at the moment. Let me take just a quick look at our defensive core, because maybe maybe Ferguson's not been that good. +3, that's not too bad. Yeah, it seems like we're scoring a lot of goals, but we aren't probably playing that great defensively. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's probably the problem. Goalie-wise, goalies has been pretty good. Brian Elliott's been killing it. And then Carey Price has been pretty solid as well. So, no problems so far, really. Probably just we haven't been good enough defensively, so we need to play a little bit better defensively. And, yeah, we'll get some wins if we do so. Let's go to December the 1st. See how we perform this month. We start off with 3 losses in a row now. Ed Jovanovski's on waivers. Are you kidding me? I mean, that's not a bad depth defenseman, but we don't really need him with all the AHL players we have, so that's kind of interesting. Yeah, this team's a little bit streaky to start this year, but it's okay. It's a little bit of a slump, but we'll probably have like a really good second half of the season or something, because that's what happened last year, and then we end up getting all the way to the conference finals. Yeah, this is a little bit of a weird record. Abney's been injured. We'll go replace player. Okay, there's a couple wins. And yeah, we're 12-10-2, so not too bad, not too great. But we are 3rd best in our division, still behind the Penguins and the Hurricanes. So it's kind of neat to see the Penguins and the Hurricanes reverse where they were in the earlier years, because those two teams were near the bottom of the league for quite a few years. But now they look like they're both primed for some playoff runs. Tampa's killing it right now as usual. Blue Jackets are playing good as well, and the Mighty Ducks. Anaheim is top of the league. Okay. And Kovalchuk's got 27 points in 24 games. So Ilya Kovalchuk is picking up where he left off last season, because last year he had 100 points. That was the first time in our franchise history that we had somebody crack 100 points in a season, so they're pretty nice. Let's go to January the 1st, and then that will be where we stop simulating. But yeah, this team is kind of off to a weird start, but I think we'll have a good second half of the season probably. So wait, what position did Abney play in the AHL? He played right wing. I honestly don't even know where he was, to be honest. I'm just going to go best lines down there, because I honestly have no idea where some guys were slotted in, because that team is just like filthy down there. So like that team should almost go undefeated to an extent. We're on a 3-game winning streak now, 4-game winning streak. Okay, this is where we're going to get all our points that helped us in the standings, I think, is this month. Oh, there's a couple losses. There's a win, though. Caden Christie's been injured. We'll go replace player. Yeah, this is where we're going to have a really good month. A couple OT losses, which kind of sucks, but whatever. So Christie is back for the AHL, which means I think it was Steiner Prust. We'll go replace player, or whatever, best lines. So we're now 19-13-3-2. So yeah, that month definitely helped us out in the standings. We are now 2nd best in our division, just above the Hurricanes and the Flyers, and only behind the Pittsburgh Penguins. Kovalchuk is still over point per game at this rate, but holy crap, the Atlantic Division is nuts. I think it was like that last season though too, is there's only literally 7 points separating 6th place and 1st. So it's more likely going to be the top 3 teams in our division that make the playoffs, which means we are almost on the brink of not making the playoffs, but we do have less games played than the Flyers do, so that's actually pretty nice. But yikes, yeah, that division is nuts. And same with the Pacific Division. The Pacific Division is pretty tight too, but not as tight as the Atlantic is. I'm glad we're not in the Atlantic, because we'd probably get torn up. Let's take a look at our player stats so far for the season, as well as our team stats, just to see what we are made of, and then we'll take a look at what's on the trading block and that sort of thing, just in case we want to make any trades for next episode. So Bergeron's almost point per game, 36 points in 37 games. He's also plus 11. Malkin's got 33 points in 37 games, a plus 13. Kuznetsov is actually having a pretty good year, 28 points in 37 games. Yeah, this is going to be a career year for him if he continues to play like that. Could be because he's getting a little bit more power play time, but his shooting percentage is pretty nice too. Houghton, 25 points is pretty good, and then Frolov only 10 points. He could be replaced easily, but we're not going to replace him yet. Left winger wise, Kovalchuk, 39 points in 37 games, 17 goals already, and he's a plus 15, so pretty good from Kovalchuk. And then Jalen Kemp is helping out offensively a lot. This guy we acquired from Europe in a trade. I forget who we sent to Europe, but we picked this guy up, and he's got 26 points in his first 37 regular season games, other than last year, I guess you could say. But he looks like he's going to be a really good playmaker for us at some point. Henrichus has 21 points as well. Likachev 18 points on that fourth line and some power play time, I think, so that's pretty good. Actually, that third line he got moved to. Right wing wise, Bork's got 23 points, Bobrovsky's got 12, only 2 goals, but he doesn't take a lot of shots. So actually, he does take a decent amount of shots, but still. And Wolski, so many skis, has 7 points in 37 games, and he's a -7. So our right wingers are really badly minus by comparison to the rest of our roster, so we might need to address that. And then defensively, Kondratyev's got 14 points and is a +9. Martinez 6 points, +6. Brody 5 points and a +1. So Brody is still a little bit of a defensive liability, it seems like. Like his plus minus is never usually that great, which kind of sucks. So we could always change him. He might be one of those defensemen that eventually get traded at some point. Connolly 5 points in 37 games, +7. Wall 3 points and +8. Only 3 points for Wall. He's on pace to have worse year than last year. And then Ferguson's got 3 points and is a +7. So pretty good from the youngster. He's jumped up to an 80 overall already. That's really nice to see. He actually shoots a decent amount of shots too. He has 1 short-handed goal. His only NHL goal is a short-handed goal. Interesting. It's good to see that a young defenseman that's just got drafted can play actually pretty good. And then Carey Price has been very good so far this season. He's probably going to play bad in the playoffs though. 17, 13, and 1 with 1 shutout only, but a .917 save percentage and a 2.63 goals against. And then Brian Elliott's not barely played. Like, he's 2-0-1 now. And he's got an 887 and a 3.37. Interesting. Let's take a look at our team stats just to see what we are doing good and what we're doing bad at. So currently at the moment in the entire NHL, we are 14th best in the NHL, but we're 2nd in our division. So our division is very weak by comparison to most of the league, which is kind of crazy. So goals for per game wise, though, we are scoring 3.11, which is around the middle of the table. So not terrible. Could be improved a little bit. And in goals against per game, we are one of the best defensive teams in the NHL. We're top 10, which is pretty nice. Our power play has improved since getting some new coaches. That's actually pretty nice to see as well. Because last year I think it clicked at like 12%. But we are around the mid-table this year, which is nice. Penalty kill has also improved a bit, but it still is not great. It's still, near the bottom at 80.3%. We're below 500 on the road, but we've been killing it at home ice, which is nice to see. Okay, let's take a look at what's out there on the trading block, just in case we want to make any trades for next episode. And I think that would be pretty much it for this one as well. But we should probably be making the playoffs easily with this team, so. But if we need to make any trades, then we will do so. But let's take a look at the trading block, see if there's actually anything out there. I don't even know if we really need to make a trade to go far in the playoffs because we have a pretty good roster. But there is some veterans out there if we want to bring in a veteran like Samsonov, Gomez, Spotcheck, Zuzin, Janssen, so a couple defensemen and forwards. Some prospects, more prospects. Not that we really need prospects because we got already way too much prospects. Now there's Spruev, who's a goalie in Chicago. That's an 88. That's interesting that this guy's on the block. It's probably because he's got 1 year left. But they also have like Dandino, Weaver for depth defenders, Tanabe, Klesla, Rakunik, Fahey. A lot of defenders actually on the block. Svitov. Patrick Lalime in Dallas is kind of weird to see. More prospects in Detroit. There isn't really any huge names out there, it looks like, for signings or for trade acquisitions, but maybe we want to pick up somebody. I don't know. We might keep the team the way it is. Mike Camilleri is not too bad. 28 years old. Signed for 2 years, but he's an 85 overall. And he does fit our second line. He might not be a bad option to bring in. But the only thing is, if we were to bring him in, we'd probably have to give up like our first round pick at least to get him. Maybe we'd have to give up like a prospect. But Camilleri's kind of intriguing because he's not too old. The only problem is who we take out of the lineup. It'd probably be somebody like Frolov, I would assume. And then Camilleri could help us out offensively. Guys, Frolov is a little bit of a liability. Tom Pody and Brad Stewart in New Jersey. Hal Gill, former defenseman of ours, and Eric Lindros, who's dropping off a lot, which makes sense. He's going to retire soon, probably. Barrett Jackman on the block. That's a good defenseman, but we don't really need one. Like, the goal was to get a top 4 defender, but I don't think we really want to make a trade for a defenseman to help our defense out. I would rather keep the defense the same, to be honest, just because of how young they are. A lot of prospects on most of these teams and picks. Yeah, there's not really a lot down this far in the list. Layman, another goalie that's signed for 5 years at 3.9. Why do you have him on the block, Toronto? Do you have other goalies or something? Like, yeah, I know he's not off to a great start, but still. That's actually a pretty good contract for an 83 overall goalie, even if he's 25 already. And yeah, that's pretty much that. So if you guys saw anything on the block, let me know. I think Camilleri is the most intriguing option, because if we brought in somebody like Mike Camilleri, we could always slot him in probably somewhere like where Bork is, and then Bork could go down to the 3rd line, Likachev down to a 4th, and then we take maybe Frolov out of the lineup. We could always take Bobrovsky out of the lineup and then also send down Wolski, something like that. But yeah, Camilleri could be a good option. He could also help out our special teams a little bit more, probably too. Oh, our penalty kill has really bad chemistry. I didn't even realize that because I didn't adjust this. Jeez. Yeah, I didn't realize it was this bad. But I mean, it's not simulating terribly, so I'll leave it the way it is for now, I guess, even though that looks disgusting. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Atlanta Thrashers franchise mode. So next episode, we might make a few trades if you guys think they're necessary. And we'll probably also sim the rest of the season and maybe make a few trades. Maybe add some new pieces. I don't know. So let me know what you guys think down below. And I'll see you guys next time.